The movie starts with three men in a car in Diyarbakir, North Kurdistan, Turkey. One passenger wants to get off at a different spot and promises to pay the agreed amount. They stop to buy cigarettes because the driver doesn't have change. Suddenly, armed men attack them and ran. Zilan is on her way to Diyarbakir city. The bus she was going with was stopped at the entrance for search and got into the city. Zilan is walking on a street where protesters are demonstrating, and a police force is approaching to disperse the protest. She quickly moves past the scene and enters a restaurant. Inside, she makes a phone call to her mother, reassuring her that she has arrived safely in the city. After leaving the restaurant, Zilan meets a group who knows her brother. She introduces herself to Yilmaz. Yilmaz assures her that she's welcome, as this is her home. He told her he had an urgent thing to do, so he leaves her in the care of Comrade Diklo, who warmly welcomes Zilan. Zilan is lying on her back as she reflects on her family's painful past. She shares her thoughts on how her father was arrested on the streets of Diyarbakir and never returned, leaving the family without closure. This loss compelled her family to leave the city, a decision her brother Andok couldn't accept. 5 years ago, Andok left a note behind, stating he was going to their homeland, and vanished. Zilan meets up with Yilmaz, and they begin to walk together. As they proceed, they witness the police breaking into a house, which prompts Zilan to ask about the situation. Yilmaz responds with a warning, suggesting that they could be arrested one by one if they're not careful. Later that night, the tension in the neighborhood escalates when someone from the eye is arrested, sparking a protest. The situation quickly turns violent as the police open fire on the protesters, resulting in one person being shot. After the shooting, a doctor is called to help the injured protester. However, it turns out that the doctor is a veterinarian, and he is unable to provide the necessary medical care due to the protesters' severe blood loss. A heroic funeral is held for the man killed in the protest. A speech is read, highlighting the ongoing genocide against the Kurds by the Turkish state and the termination of peace negotiations. The speech condemns the attacks on Kurdish villages and the arrest of Kurdish people. It declares self-administration for the People's Assembly of Sur, asserting the Kurds' determination to defend democracy and freedom, and to govern their cities and themselves, rejecting any life without identity or status. Later that night, as everyone is gathered in celebration, singing and dancing, the atmosphere is abruptly disrupted when a police car trespasses into their neighborhood and releases smoke. The police proceed to destroy houses, arrest, and beat people. In response to the police aggression, the rest of the group, including Zilan, start throwing rocks at the police. The police retaliate with gunfire, resulting in people getting wounded. Some of the people go to a gun store and rob it. They assure the owner that they are not thieves, but rather revolutionaries. Zilan searches for Yilmaz but cannot find him. She meets Hogir, and they look for Yilmaz together. They discuss the situation, expressing concern about the gunshots in the area. Zilan reflects on her initial impression of Hogir as solitary, but realizes they share a connection. She feels grateful for Hogir's reassurance and considers Andok lucky to have had such people around him. The comrades gather for a meeting. A woman, Nukan, addresses the comrades, comparing them to apricots that grow without human intervention, symbolizing self-reliance. She emphasizes their self-existence and condemns fascism, declaring their resistance and willingness to protect their honor with their bodies if necessary, but they will never submit to fascism. The police siege the neighborhood on December 2, 2015, marking the first day of the siege. The Diyarbakir governorate announces a curfew in the neighborhoods of Dabanoglu, Fatih, Pasa, and Hasiril from the side of Sur until further notice. In Sur, Siager delivers a speech to the group, emphasizing the power of organizing and citing examples from recent conflicts in Kobana, Shangal, and Cizre. He highlights the importance of organization in resistance movements and the struggle for freedom, noting the Kurds' long history of struggle and the necessity of fighting for their existence. Siager then transitions to training them on how to use a gun, emphasizing the seriousness and danger of military and revolutionary work, but also the value and meaning behind fighting for freedom. After 14 days of siege, the group gathers to discuss their military plan. They then disperse to set up explosives. When the police arrive, a shootout begins and Avesta gets shot. Ihsan quickly drags him to safety. Zilan takes her position with a sniper rifle, taking aim and firing without missing her target. During the exchange, Ihsan suffers a gunshot wound to his arm and is captured by the opposing forces. Tragically, he is executed, and his captors record the brutal scene as they drag his body along the road, his neck tied to their car. Later that night, the group gathers to reflect on the day's events. Siager addresses the group, acknowledging the heavy blow dealt to the enemy, but lamenting the loss of Comrade Avesta and the uncertain fate of Comrade Ihsan. Nukan chimes in, stating that no one should join the fight unless they are truly ready. This sparks a debate about the preparedness of the group and the reasons behind their setbacks. The discussion turns heated as they argue about the failure of a mine to explode, Chinar angrily got up and left since he was in charge of the mines. Chinar visits the mines and discovers that the wires have been cut. The next day, Nukan told him of the importance of understanding the distress of fellow comrades. Then, Chinar told her that the wires to the mines were cut. Dickel takes a piece of paper from her notebook. She then approaches the wall separating them from the military police forces. She wraps the paper around a rock and hurls it over the wall. Dickel is burning papers, and Zilan sees her. She asked why she was burning her diaries, but Dicel didn't say anything. Later that night, Dickel approaches Zilan and insists that she eat her dinner while Dickel takes over the lookout duty. Once Zilan leaves to get her meal, Dickel seizes the opportunity. She quietly approaches the wall again and jumps over to the other side. Zilan comes back with food and finds Dickel missing. Alarmed, she rushes to inform Nukan. Dickel finds herself surrounded by the enemy forces. She surrenders, offering them valuable information in exchange for her safety. One officer demands to know who sent her, urging her to speak up. Dickel reveals that her group is planning a significant operation with their remaining ammunition. She discloses that all units are preparing for an infiltration, and she knows the exact location of their entry point, the houses they will use, and the roads where mines have been planted. She told them all this information is documented in the notebook she has brought with her. The officer orders his men to take her away and proceeds to open the notebook she brought. However, to his shock, he finds no notes inside. Instead, the pages are rigged with explosives. Before he can react, the notebook detonates. Seizing the moment, the comrades launch an attack on the military. Zilan and Nukan rush to Dickel's aid. Finding her injured, they quickly bring her to safety and bandage her wounds. As night falls, the military launches a fierce attack, deploying a tank to lead the assault. The tank fires relentlessly, launching incendiary rounds. In a meeting, the comrades discuss the new stage of their struggle. Kiager raises the issue of the safety and possible evacuation of their people. Yilmaz, a native of Sur, firmly states that the enemy will not take his home, and that those who stayed in Sur did so by choice. The group acknowledges the unprecedented violence in the area and vows to protect the pride, honor, and safety of their people. They conclude with a pledge to be the first to sacrifice for Diyarbakir and Kurdistan, if needed. As the siege reaches its 52nd day, the comrades are still facing challenges with the underground tunnel they are digging, encountering walls at every turn. In a timely intervention, Yabo presents them with a map of underground tunnels, providing crucial guidance on where to dig and helping to expedite their progress. The comrades confront Keenan after catching him cutting wires on camera. Despite his denial, Zafer's testimony implicates him further. Under pressure, Keenan admits to being paid for sabotaging the mines and providing the enemy with coordinates of YPS members' locations. They forced him to send a message to his bosses, revealing Siager and Nukan's whereabouts. Then they tied him to a chair. Dickel regains consciousness and tells her comrades that she has avenged Avesta's death. They inform her that she has been unconscious for 10 to 15 days. The battle intensifies as the military escalates their assault by bringing in more tanks. Despite the overwhelming odds, the comrades managed to destroy one of the tanks, but Dyler got heavily wounded. The doctor announced that they were out of medicine, and if they don't take Dyler to the hospital in time, they might not be able to save him. As everyone was losing hope, Tiager told them they would find a way to get him out. So the comrades placed Dyler in a coffin, preparing to transport him out of the village. They used the tunnel they dug to discreetly carry the coffin out. Zilan seeks closure by asking Hoger about the moment her brother, Ondok, died. Hoger recounts the experience, detailing how Ondok was shot multiple times. Despite his injuries, Ondok urged Hoger to rescue him. As Yilmaz and others provided cover, Hoger carried Ondok on his back. They were close to safety when a bullet struck Ondok, passing through him and sparing Hoger. Ondok died with a smile on his face, a smile reminiscent of Zilan's. In a tragic twist of fate, Ondok's body shielded Hoger from the fatal bullet. Siager announces the completion of the tunnel, thanking Yabo for his efforts. He informs the group that they will be the first to exit through the tunnel, followed by a second group carrying the wounded. That night, the military launches another attack on the village. Dylan rushes to warn the comrades about the impending assault. As gunfire erupts, Chinar hurls an explosive at a tank. Amid the chaos, Melzum is shot, and another comrade accidentally steps on a mine, causing a detonation near Nukan. Nukan and other fallen comrades are later buried. Siager addresses the comrades about the dire situation they face. He emphasizes the need to conserve ammunition, instructing that no comrade should fire more than 3 bullets at an enemy soldier. Zemgin mentioned with the tunnel destroyed and no electricity or gasoline for the generator, their options are dwindling. Siager asserts that the end of their struggle will be determined not by the tunnel or any physical means, but by hope and resistance. He rallies the comrades with a call to break the blockade and spread the spirit of their resistance across Kurdistan. Half of the comrades, including Zilan, make their way out of the besieged area, carrying an item from the comrades. Among them, Zemgin gave them them his diary. Major Nuri Kara, speaking on behalf of the state of the Republic of Turkey, contacted Siyager through the radio and urges Siyager to surrender, claiming that he knows not only his name, but also his past and the ongoing war. He appeals to Siyager not to ruin himself and his family. Siyager responds defiantly, acknowledging that the Major may know a bit about them, but asserting that they know him very well. He expresses disappointment that after 100 days, the Major still hasn't understood what should have been clear from the first day. When Major Kara dismisses Siyager's words as propaganda and insists on surrender, Siyager declares that apoists never surrender and that they will not die until every stone of the houses destroyed by the fascists becomes their tombstone. The military continues its relentless attack, and the comrades fiercely respond in kind. Amidst the chaos, Hogir is shot and Yilmaz carries him to safety. Delil is also wounded, so Yilmaz takes him in and lays him next to Hogir. The military forces finally manage to breach the hospital, making their way inside. However, the comrades detonate explosives, blowing up the hospital just after the soldiers enter. Yilmaz is awakened by the sound of gunfire. He went out and started an attack, but got wounded on his leg. Despite a leg wound, he fearlessly engages the military, determined to protect his home. Displaying remarkable bravery, he single-handedly takes down numerous soldiers. After the intense battle, he joins Hogir and Delil, lying down beside them to rest. Outside, half of the comrades celebrate their spirit and resilience through song and dance, their thoughts with those still fighting. Meanwhile, Siyager, Zemgin, Dikle, and Sinar engage in their final battle, confronting the military face-to-face with unwavering courage and determination. On March 12, 2016, 42 fighters launched their final attacks to break the Turkish army's siege. In the two-day conflict, 35 fighters, including Siyager, lost their lives. Despite the conflict's end, Sur remained a restricted area and was almost completely destroyed. In Cizre and Nusaybin, heavy bombardments and artillery fire led to significant casualties and destruction. The siege and its aftermath left an indelible mark on the region, highlighting the devastating human cost of the conflict. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.